Hi guys, welcome to my channel and to my journey in beauty. Today's video is my Shop My Stash for January. As a part of my 2019 Back to Beauty No Buy year, I will be doing a Shop My Stash every single month. The way this video will look is first I will review the products from the previous months, and then I will show you what I'm shopping my stash for this month and why. First, let's address the elephant in the room. There is something weird happening with the light back here. It looks like rays of sunshine. It has never done that in the history of filming in this situation, so I have no idea, and hopefully it won't be too distracting and I can figure out what's going on. The first thing I shopped my stash for in December was this Narcissus Cheek Studio palette. It was a gift from my hubby for Christmas, and what you end up with in here is a finishing powder or setting powder, whatever kind of brightening powder. Then we have a cool tone contour shade. We have the Laguna bronzer, which is a shimmery or satin bronzer. And then you have 4 blushes here, including the cult favorite called Goulet. So here are my thoughts on this. This is a really nice, finely milled brightening powder. I really liked it. I didn't like it the first day under my eyes, but after using it again under my eyes, I felt like it performed better. It looked a little dry at first, but then as things sort of set in, it actually was really nice for under the eyes, as well as I did try setting my face with it and I thought it performed really nicely. This is just a nice, smooth, buttery powder. Might be one of those days, guys. I just filmed the Shop My Stash Get Ready With Me and it was a hot mess. Just wait a few days and you'll see. And then in terms of this cool tone contour shade, I did use this several times. I need more practice and more information and knowledge about contouring. All I really do is contour right here under my cheekbone. And it worked wonderful for that. It was absolutely beautiful to blend out. It didn't look harsh or muddy or anything like that. I just need to build my information mind bank with a little more about contouring. And then you have the Laguna bronzer, which is definitely a cult favorite here on YouTube, or at least it was for a long time. And it's beautiful. It is not too red or orange. I do like a little bit more of a red undertone to my bronzer. Personally, I find it to be the most flattering shade on me. So here, you don't even be able to see it. Here's the swatch of the Laguna bronzer. First, it is nice and buildable, blendable for sure. It probably has somewhere in between a yellow and orange undertone, but not super strong. So I feel like this would be a really flattering bronzer for a lot of people and in a lot of skin tones. Probably not any darker than a medium skin tone for this one. I don't think it would show up and you'd really have to build it up, but it is a very nice bronzer. And then you have these 4 blushes here. This is very light. It would be beautiful for a no makeup kind of day for me, and I did use it that way. But I also think it performs really nicely as a blush topper for either of these 2 more pigmented shades here. And I had a little trouble figuring out what the heck to do with this lavender blush here, because it really does not show up on my skin, and if it does, it just kind of makes me look sick. I don't really know how to describe it to you, but this is very finely milled. It has a tiny bit of micro glitter to it, but nothing that really shows up on the face. But how I did end up liking to use this lavender shade is not as a topper like I liked this one, but as a mixer to go in with either of these 2 shades. It just kind of helps lighten them up because these are extremely pigmented. But it also gives it just a different little something extra to these 2 more pigmented blush colors. So I did really like these. I like these you know, all by themselves. I like them mixed together, which is something I'm not accustomed to do, but I started, you know, doing that with Shop My Stash just to see exactly how I could do that. Also like this Laguna bronzer mixed with either of these shades just a little bit. I actually find that this palette is way more versatile than I ever thought it was. I thought it was versatile when I bought it, but over this last month while playing with it nearly every day, I found some little fun tips and tricks with this palette. And like I said, I do like this lavender shade mixed with these to tone them down and give them just a slightly different undertone. So yeah, I love this palette. I'm thrilled that hubby purchased it for me. This has been the NARS palette that I've been most interested in all of their releases in 2018. So I'm really glad that I have this. I wouldn't change anything about it in retrospect. And now she's going back into the collection so we can shop for something else. The next product in my Shop My Stash for December actually ended up in my top 3, bottom 3 for December, plus a palette, and it is the ABH or Anastasia Beverly Hills Sultry palette. This is first and foremost beautiful packaging. I don't find that the glitter comes off, which I love. That would drive me absolutely bonkers. And I definitely like this better than the dirty carpet packaging as Georgia Harris calls it. But this palette is stunning. I'm kind of going to go shade by shade and tell you what I think and, you know, a little bit about it. This shade right here is a bone colored matte shade called Fresh. This is wonderful not only for setting your primer if you do so, and I do when working with ABH shadows because they are so extremely pigmented. So I use this for setting my primer. I also loved it for a matte brow bone highlight, and it works really nicely if you need to blend out one of the darker shades. If you're having trouble blending it, you can put a little of this on your fluffy brush or whatever, and it really helps to blend out any harsh lines. Then we have this shade right here, which is called Pearl. There's 2 shades in this palette that I feel like verge on chunky, and it's this one Pearl and this one Cyborg. And I don't think they're actually chunky. I think that the glitter particles or the shiny particles in it are just a little bit bigger than the metallic formula in here. So I would say that this is a palette with at least 3 different formulas of shadows from ABH, but Pearl is actually really pretty. It has like a pinky golden shift to it. It looks beautiful as an inner corner highlight or as a highlight shade on the lid. You just have to give it a little finesse, and I absolutely recommend that you use this shade and the Cyborg shade, if not all of the metallic shades, with a glitter glue. This one specifically, Pearl, I recommend using a wet brush even if you use a glitter glue, and then it performs beautifully from there. Next is the shade I probably used the least, and it's this shade right here called Steampunk. And this is actually a very true yellow gold shade, and for whatever reason, even given my warmer undertones and the fact that I really love warm tones in my everyday life, if you can't tell, I got my orange, I got my mustard yellow back there, and my God rays. But anyways, I'm just not a real big fan of gold on my eyes. So this was probably my least favorite shade, but it did perform beautifully. It foiled like a dream and just gave that metallic, you know, sort of frosted look there, and it is beautiful. And then next we have this shade Rose Quartz. This is just a really beautiful rose gold, but not the type of rose gold that airs to the gold side. This is the type of rose gold that airs very much to the pink side, and I actually really loved that they had this shadow in this palette. It does remind me a little bit of Rose Pink from the Soft Glam palette, but swatched out they are actually quite different. And then moving on, we have this shade called Ember right here. I would call this kind of like an antique bronze shade, not like antique bronze in the modern Renaissance, but this is actually like an aged bronze color. very more deep, more smoky than a typical bronze. And then we're moving on to the shade Bloom. This shade definitely takes some building up. It has a little bit of a tendency to blend away, but I think if you're deliberate in placing it and then just blending just the very minimum amount that you need to, it works just fine. There was a few shades in this palette in terms of matte that felt rather dry in the pan. One of them was Bloom, then this dark brown called Dystopian, and this black called Noir. They just feel different. They feel more firmly pressed, and they feel drier than the other mattes in the palette. The other mattes in the palette are very consistent with what we've seen in the last 3 or 4 that they put out in 2018. So Bloom, though, it is a beautiful color. I haven't tried it yet, but I think Bloom in the crease / transition, rose quartz on the lid, and pearl in the inner corner and as a highlight on the lid would be a beautiful look, and I haven't got the chance to try it yet, but I definitely will, especially come spring. And then we have our next matte in this palette, and this one is called Birch, and it is a warm camel shade. I'm gonna have swatches up for you guys while I'm going through. So this is kind of a warm camel brown, works really nicely as a transition shade to kind of warm things up, even if you're doing a cooler look, and I really like that. And then one of my favorite shimmers in this palette is this one right here called Cinder, and I would call this sort of your true copper shade. This is absolutely beautiful. It's copper, but I want to say it leans slightly cool tone, and so I really loved this paired with this next shade, which is a matte taupe called Twig. And honestly, this is my favorite matte in this palette, followed closely by one I'll speak on in a minute. But I absolutely love this. I could put this and only this in the crease and transition area, blown out, and then Cinder all over the lid, and I would be a happy, happy girl, I'm sure, for weeks on end, because I love these 2 shades that much. The next shimmer is this one right here called Teak, and I would call this a warm bronze shade. This is absolutely beautiful. I want to try it paired with Steampunk and see if I don't like that better, because I love this shade Teak, and then maybe this warm Birch in the transition and a little Dystopian in the outer corner in the crease. I think that would be really stunning. So yeah, Teak was a definite win. I would call this, like I said, a warm bronze, not an antiqued bronze like this one up here. And then next we have a deep dark brown called Dystopian. Again, this was one of the mattes that felt pretty firmly pressed as well as drier in the pan. And with this one and the Noir, I don't mind that whatsoever. I don't need, I mean, I think maybe ABH heard our cries that we don't need the darkest shades to be so soft and so pigmented, because it actually makes them really hard to work with. So these I found, in comparison to the darker shades in my other 3 ABH palettes, no, 4, they actually were so much easier to work with, and they were actually a real joy to work with on the outer V and a little bit into the crease. And I used one or the other of those for just about all the looks that I created. Speaking of pictures, normally I would have pictures in this video for you using my Shop My Stash products and some of the looks that I created. I will link for you my 5 days of glam featuring the Sultry palette and 5 statement lips, where you can see all of the looks that not all of the looks, but 5 of the looks that I created using this palette. Unfortunately, as I mentioned before, I had a phone photo malfunction and lost several hundred pictures, so I don't have them for you in this video, and I'm sorry about that, but I will link that video. And moving on, my second favorite metallic in this palette is definitely Cyborg. At first glance, this looks like a very brilliant silver shade, but it has just the slightest shift of lavender, and I think it is so interesting, so much more than it looks in the pan. and I loved it paired with this gray shade called Slate, and this was my second favorite matte in the palette next to Twig. And then we have a matte black, and like I said, it's a little drier in the pan, a little more firmly pressed, but I felt like that made it easier to work with. So that is the lowdown on the Sultry palette, my full thoughts and reviews. I've been using this so much. I really literally had to force myself to put it away so that I can start working on my Jaclyn Hill palette for Pan That Palette. So I love this, and I have no regrets that hubby bought that for me. I'm gonna run through the last several products hopefully rather quickly, and then we'll get into my products for this month. So the next thing I shot my stash for was the NARS Larger Than Life Long Wear Eyeliner in the shade Via Veneto. And it's a black eyeliner. I didn't have any troubles with it. I didn't feel like it transferred from the tight line to the water line or anything like that, which is always a deal breaker for me. I don't like black eyeliner on my lower inner rim. Funny story though, almost all of NARS products, like even their lip products and stuff like that in this pencil form, are needing to be sharpened with a sharpener. So I was going to sharpen this one day with my pencil sharpener, and as I was trying to sharpen it, I was like, man, this is really not wanting to sharpen. And then I realized this actually twists up. So that was kind of a funny moment, but like I said, this is a pretty standard black eyeliner. And next, I shot my stash for the Fenty Gloss Bomb in the shade Fenty Glow. This is the original. I freaking love this stuff. This is one of those things where the hype is real for me. It does have a warm base, but I feel like it has a cool shift. Something verging on silver, maybe just ever slightly a touch of blue. And I love that because I feel like it makes it super neutral to wear. It has a fruit scent to it that I can't quite put my finger on, but it's like a totally amazing fruit scent. Probably one of the best smelling lip glosses or lip products I've ever smelled. Yeah, I still don't know. I can't remember. Oh, I think my bestie said that she felt like it smelled like Now and Laters, which I haven't smelled as of recently, so I couldn't weigh in on this. But I love this. This is not sticky. It's very comfortable. I actually feel like it hydrates my lips in some way. Relatively long lasting for a gloss, really comfortable to layer over a matte liquid lipstick like this. In fact, let's do that. Why not? I just like to dot it on so I don't get color on the doe foot. And then there we go. Isn't that pretty? May look like nothing special to you, but to me, I really feel like this is special, and I'm so thankful to have it. All right, moving on. And then I had 2 more lip products last month. I'm trying to put at least 3 or 4 lip products in per month because I have a ton, 93 to be specific, lip products, and I really want to start working through them, decluttering if I need to, things like that. So I just realized that the lighting is really shitty. I'm sorry. That's better. Okay, so the next one that I shot my stash for last month was the Marc Jacobs La Marque Liquid Lip Crayon in the shade Plum and Get It. This stuff is so amazing. I don't even know how to speak on it anymore. I've tried and I've tried, but this is literally, look how it glides on. This is literally a liquid lipstick in a crayon form. It glides over the skin like Vaseline, or like the most slippery thing that you could put on your lips. I don't know. I mean, obviously the color is gorgeous. It's this beautiful plum shade and it has a slight iridescent quality to it. But this stuff, not only does it glide on like a dream, but also it stays on forever. Like until you put something glossy over the top, maybe if you ate a cheeseburger. I mean, it lasts through eating for sure, but if you were eating like a really greasy meal, which I don't, you may have to reapply, but it does reapply over itself very beautifully. This is definitely my new obsession when it comes to lip formulas. And then next we have the NARS Velvet Matte Lip Pencils. You guys know this is my favorite formula for lipstick. I mentioned that in my Journey in Beauty Awards for 2018. And this is in the shade Dolce Vita. And for me, this is very much in My Lips But Better shade. I have to build it up a little bit for it to actually look like you're adding some pigment to my lips. I wouldn't say I have really dark lips, but I loved this shade and I love the formula. Like I said, it's my favorite formula. So that's it for my Shop My Stash for December. I hope you enjoyed those little reviews, or rather extensive review on the Sultry palette. And now I'm going to quickly show you what will be in my Shop My Stash for January. The first thing I put in is the Maybelline Master Prime. This is in the Hydrate and Smooth formula. I received this as a sample in a gift with purchase, I believe. Hydrate and Smooth sounds nice to me. It sounds like the Becca First Light Primer, which I love for a hydrating primer. But I just want to figure this primer out, so to speak. I want to see which of my foundations I prefer it with, you know, best application methods, where to put it on my face, just figure it out basically. See how it performs best with the things that I already own and get a better idea. And then this was Angela's suggestion because she gave it to me and I haven't used it yet. So this was the Obsessive Compulsive Cosmetics color pencil in the shade Pool Boy. This is a turquoisey blue eyeliner. I actually do have it in my waterline today, though it's hard to see. So I did use this in my Shop My Stash Get Ready With Me, which will be up in a couple of days. And then I put in the Laura Mercier Caviar Stick in the shade Rose Gold. This was given to me by a friend from her Sephora Play Box, and I really haven't made a ton of use out of it. So I'd like to get some use out of it this month. There you go. It's just, you know, it's rose gold. I want to try this a few different ways. I want to see how it performs as a base. Today I have it on my inner corners. I want to see if I could use this maybe as a cream highlighter on my Cupid's bow. I want to see how this works for me, and maybe even make some progress on it would be amazing. And then lip products for this month, I have the Bite Beauty Amuse Bouche lipstick in the shade Honeycomb. I put this in because it feels a little light to me with my skin tone, and so I want to try it with some different lip liners and maybe even a different gloss over top to see if I can make this work, or if Angela's gonna get it because it's very light. And then I have the Anastasia Beverly Hills lip gloss in the shade Toffee, again a gift with purchase. December was a crazy month for gift with purchase, according to the order my hubby made. So here's that gloss. I think it's really pretty, and it's fairly neutral. So I'm gonna try that out some more just because it's new. And then last lippy of the month is the NARS Power Pigment Matte in the shade American Woman. This is a liquid lipstick, but it is the best kind of liquid lipstick to me because it's literally a liquefied lipstick. You know, this is long lasting, but not as long lasting as, say, the drier actual liquid lipstick formulas. This is actually like a lipstick melted down. It is what I'm wearing today before I put the Fenty Gloss Bomb on it, so I really like that. Want to use this some more this month and kind of get a little more adept at applying it. It's a very, very thin formula, which is really comfortable, but it can make it a little harder to apply, at least for me. So there you go. And then the last thing I Shop My Stash for this month has fingerprints all over it, and that is the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Edit Unlocked. I'm blinding you with it, I'm sorry. So early Christmas gift from hubby, limited edition for the holiday. This is what she looks like. You have 2 finishing powders, a bronzer, a highlight, and 2 blush. And I love it so far. It is what I'm wearing today. I'm wearing a combo of the blushes. I'm wearing the bronzer, the highlight, and the finishing powder. So I want to dive into this month and see just how I like to use it, and get more in depth to the formula. This particular bronzer formula, as well as the highlight, are formulas I've never tried before, and of course the 2 finishing powders are a different shade than my Ride or Die dim light. So just want to figure that out a little more and get some use out of it. So this video is 30 minutes already. Hopefully I'll get it cut down for you, but if not, I hope all of your makeup days are absolutely beautiful makeup days, and I will see you in my next video soon. Mwah.